Midnight in Culiacan. The city is restless, its skyline pulsing with flashing lights. Sirens cut through the humid night air, echoing like screams across empty streets. Gunmen move in silence, their silhouettes slipping between alleyways, rifles glinting under the moonlight. For the people who live here, this isn't a nightmare, it's routine. Inside a hospital emergency ward, where lives are meant to be saved, war has followed. A man dressed as a nurse steps forward, and with no warning, the staccato rhythm of bullets drowns out cries for help. 3 lie lifeless. 4 more scream in pain. Doctors freeze, their white coats splattered crimson. The one place of refuge now turned into a battlefield. Hours earlier, in Guanajuato, laughter turned to horror. A festival filled with music and fireworks collapsed into terror when a sudden explosion ripped through the crowd. Gunfire followed, tearing through families who had gathered to celebrate. Balloons drift into the night sky, rising above blood-stained cobblestones. 12 lives gone in an instant. In Guadalajara, the city of mariachi and murals, something more chilling takes root. Young people vanish into thin air. On the edges of town, whispers spread of a ranch called La Escuelita, not a school, but a prison camp. Survivors say it reeks of ash and gasoline, where recruits are forced to kill or die. For families, the search ends not with embraces, but with shallow graves. And then, the war shifted online. Somewhere in Sinaloa, a death list appeared on social media. Names of influencers and singers marked as traitors. Some had dared to glorify one cartel over another. Within weeks, 6 were dead, shot in cars, in clubs, on sidewalks. In this war, even words can sign your death sentence. In Zacatecas, banners hang from bridges, not decorations but warnings. Black cloths with blood-red letters announce who rules the night. Anyone caught beneath them knows the price of defiance. Entire highways go silent as travelers vanish into the dark. Meanwhile, in border cities like Juarez, the war feels like an endless siege. Armored trucks roll down the streets. Gunmen parade openly, their rifles raised like flags. Civilians hide behind locked doors, praying the storm passes before it reaches their home. In Tijuana, the violence creeps into daily life. Markets filled with fresh produce and children's laughter turn suddenly into crime scenes. Vendors drop to the floor as bullets tear through fruit stalls. Blood mixes with spilled oranges, the line between normal life and war erased in seconds. And still, the bodies appear. Shallow graves uncovered by mothers searching with their bare hands. Bones pulled from the earth, rosaries found tangled in the dirt. For them, there are no borders, no politics, just an endless hunt for the ones who never came home. These are not isolated tragedies. They are fragments of a larger war, spreading across 7 cities locked in bloodshed. From hospitals turned into war zones, to plazas where joy collapses into massacre, the question is no longer if this violence spreads, it's where it will strike next. And tonight, we go city by city, to uncover the truth behind this brutal war. 7 cities. 7 front lines. 1 endless war. From the dusty border towns to the glittering capitals of trade, each city is a chessboard, and the cartels are moving their pieces with blood and fire. This is not history. This is happening right now. Tonight, we uncover the battlegrounds that will decide the future of Mexico's war on drugs. This is 7 cities the cartels are fighting for right now.
You are watching True Crime Cartel Originals. Before we dive into today's story, I've got one small favor to ask. If you love deep, real stories like this, tap the like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below telling us which city you're watching from. It helps more than you know, and it allows us to keep bringing you stories no one else dares to tell. Now, let's get into the story.
The story of Mexico's cartels didn't begin with blood, but with opportunity. In the 1980s, Colombia was the undisputed king of cocaine. But as U.S. and Colombian forces tore down the Medellin and Cali cartels, something unexpected happened. Mexico stepped in. At first, Mexican traffickers were only transporters, middlemen hauling drugs north across a 2,000-mile border. But middlemen don't stay middlemen for long. They learned. They adapted. And soon, they became kings. By the 1990s, Mexico was no longer just a corridor, it was the battlefield. The cartels fractured like glass under pressure. Alliances splintered. Brothers turned on brothers. Cities that once felt safe became war zones overnight. Juarez, Tijuana, Nuevo Laredo, each city fell into chaos as rival cartels drew invisible lines and dared anyone to cross them. The Mexican government tried to fight back. Soldiers were sent into the streets, tanks rolled past taco stands, helicopters thundered over neighborhoods. But every strike against one cartel only made room for another. Arrest one kingpin, and 3 more rise from the ashes. A hydra with endless heads. What's at stake in this war is more than money, it's geography. Mexico sits between the richest drug consumers in the world to the north, and the suppliers of cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl precursors to the south. Whoever controls the ports, the highways, the border crossings, controls billions of dollars. And billions of dollars mean billions of bullets. The Gulf of Mexico's ports became arteries pumping drugs into the U.S. East Coast. Pacific harbors opened pathways for Asian chemicals, the raw ingredients for meth and fentanyl. And every border crossing, from the deserts of Arizona to the bridges of Texas, became gates worth killing for. If you own the gate, you own the future. But the stakes don't stop at smuggling routes. Control of a city also means control of its people. Extortion, kidnapping, local politics, all feed the machine. Cartels infiltrate police forces, bribe politicians, even decide who runs for mayor. In some towns, the law doesn't wear a badge, it wears a cartel insignia. And the violence has become its own message. Cartels don't just fight, they perform. Bodies hung from bridges, banners stretched across highways, entire families wiped out to make a point. Fear is their currency, and cities are their theaters. Over the years, countless names have burned across headlines: the Zetas, the Gulf Cartel, La Familia, the Beltran-Leyva brothers. Some rose fast and burned out in fire. Others, like the Sinaloa Cartel and CJNG, grew into empires stretching across continents. But empires are fragile. And now, 7 cities have become the prize in a war that will decide who rules tomorrow. Some of these battlegrounds are infamous, cities where headlines are written in blood. Others are quiet places, barely noticed by the outside world, until the gunfire shatters the silence. Together, they form the backbone of cartel power. And without them, no empire survives. In a moment, we'll step into these cities one by one. 7 stories. 7 wars. But remember this, we are not watching history. We are watching a fire still burning, and its flames are spreading. The first city is Ciudad Juárez. By day, Ciudad Juárez hums with the energy of a border city. Markets spill onto the sidewalks, taco stands perfume the air with sizzling carne asada, and across the river, the skyscrapers of El Paso shine like a promise. For decades, families moved back and forth with ease, shopping, working, living in 2 worlds at once. But when night falls, Juarez tells a different story. When the sun sets, the air shifts. The laughter of children fades, replaced by the distant crack of gunfire. Streetlights flicker over empty corners where no one dares to linger. The border, once a line of connection, becomes a front line. Juarez is not just a city. It is a prize worth dying for. Juarez is the Golden Gate. Whoever controls it, controls one of the most lucrative drug corridors in the world. Just steps away lies El Paso, Texas, once ranked among the safest cities in America, even as Juarez earned the title of the most dangerous city on earth. Billions of dollars worth of drugs flow through this artery: cocaine, meth, heroin, fentanyl. Juarez is not a battlefield by chance, it is a battlefield by design. The Juarez cartel once ruled uncontested, its leader Amado Carrillo Fuentes, the Lord of the Skies, flying planeloads of cocaine into the United States. But after his death, power fractured. The Sinaloa cartel, led by Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, launched a bloody campaign to seize Juarez. What followed was a decade of war. Entire neighborhoods became killing fields. Gunmen clashed in daylight. Assassins gunned down police chiefs in front of their homes. Civilians disappeared into the desert, never to return. A local journalist once described Juarez as living in two realities, one in the open, one in the shadows. Teachers begged children not to wear certain colors, red for one cartel, blue for another, lest they be mistaken for recruits. Taxi drivers whispered about bodies dumped in alleys, while mothers searched morgues for sons and daughters who never came home. For those who survived, silence became the only defense. In 2010, a massacre shocked even a city already drowning in blood. 15 young people gunned down at a birthday party, their futures erased in seconds. The killers didn't care who they hit, only that the message was clear: no one is safe. That same year, Juarez's murder rate soared to over 3,000 killings, earning it the grim title of the deadliest city in the world. Years later, the violence slowed, but never stopped. The Sinaloa cartel claimed much of Juarez, but its grip remains contested. The Juarez cartel and its armed wing, La Línea, continue to fight back. Civilians live with the uneasy peace of a city always on the edge, where any quiet day can shatter into chaos. The war here is not over, it is only waiting for its next spark. Across the bridge, El Paso thrives: malls, universities, nightlife. In Juarez, the same horizon is clouded by memories of mass graves and gunfire. Two cities separated by one river, two realities divided by a single bridge. For the cartels, Juarez is not just a crossing, it is the crown jewel of the border. For every cartel soldier killed, there is a mother who buries her son. For every shipment of drugs that crosses the border, there are families who never see their loved ones again. Juarez is more than a war zone. It is a wound that has not healed, and may never heal. But Juarez is just one battlefield. And while its streets tell a story of war, another city is rising as a new epicenter. A place where the cartels don't just fight in shadows, but in broad daylight, unleashing chaos so shocking it made global headlines. If you thought Juarez was bad, wait until you see what happened there. City number 2, Tijuana. Tijuana is a city of contradictions. Neon lights flicker over bars and nightclubs that never sleep. Tourists cross the border for cheap thrills, street tacos, tequila shots, promises of adventure just steps away from San Diego. But beneath the laughter and music lies a dangerous truth: Tijuana is one of the most contested cartel battlegrounds in the world. Every party, every alleyway, every road could be hiding a war. Because while Tijuana offers fun on the surface, the blood runs just beneath it. Bodies appear in ditches on the edge of town. Headless corpses hang from bridges as warnings. Journalists whisper of mass graves in the hills. Here, the line between paradise and hell is only one street wide. Tijuana is the crown jewel of drug trafficking. Whoever controls Tijuana controls the busiest border crossing on earth, the San Isidro port of entry. More than 100,000 people cross it daily: tourists, workers, families. Hidden among them, drugs flow northward and cash flows south. Meth, heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, it all moves through this artery, worth billions. Tijuana isn't just another city, it is a gold mine wrapped in barbed wire. The Arellano Felix organization, once the feared Tijuana cartel, dominated this city in the 1990s. They were ruthless, infamous for torture chambers and public executions. But their power crumbled, leaving a vacuum. The Sinaloa cartel swept in, led by El Chapo, eager to claim Tijuana's billion-dollar border. Then came the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, one of the fastest-growing cartels in Mexico. What followed was a brutal three-way war, where alliances shifted overnight and betrayal was as common as blood. In Tijuana, civilians live in constant fear. Taxi drivers talk of hearing gunfire echoing through the hills. Shopkeepers keep cash ready for extortion payments. Families avoid driving at night, too many disappear without a trace. A single wrong turn can mean never coming back. For journalists, the cost is even higher, many silenced forever for daring to speak. In recent years, Tijuana has seen horror after horror. Gunmen storming a nightclub, leaving bodies on the dance floor. Rival gangs executing enemies and leaving them displayed on highway overpasses. In 2018, the city recorded nearly 2,500 homicides, making it one of the most violent cities on the planet. And yet, the nightlife continues, as if death and celebration dance side by side. Today, Sinaloa and CJNG remain locked in a deadly tug-of-war for Tijuana. Neither side controls it completely. For the cartels, the border crossing is worth every drop of blood. For civilians, it means living with a constant hum of violence, always waiting, always watching. In Tijuana, peace is only an illusion. On one side of the wall lies San Diego, suburbs, schools, amusement parks. On the other side, Tijuana lives in chaos. Two worlds sharing the same sun, separated by concrete and steel. For the cartels, it is the perfect stage, violence hidden in plain sight. Every murder in Tijuana leaves a scar. Every mother searching for her missing child, every family forced to flee, every innocent caught in crossfire. This is the hidden price of the drug trade, measured not just in dollars, but in shattered lives. And Tijuana is drowning in the weight of that cost. Tijuana is a battlefield disguised as a party town. But the next city we enter is something different, a place where the cartels don't just fight for control, but for domination of an entire region. A city where the fight has escalated beyond gunfire, into something that looks dangerously close to terrorism. And it's happening right now. City number 3, Guadalajara. Guadalajara is known as the land of tequila, mariachi, and tradition. Tourists come for its music, its plazas, its history. The city pulses with life, students rushing to universities, families filling the markets, soccer fans chanting in the stadiums. But in the shadows, Guadalajara hides something far more sinister. Behind the music and color lies the empire of the most violent cartel in Mexico today. At night, the songs fade, replaced by the low rumble of convoys. Pickup trucks with tinted windows. Gunmen in black tactical gear. Disappearances that happen in seconds, so clean and efficient that entire families vanish without a trace. For Guadalajara, this is the cost of being the capital of the CJNG. Guadalajara is not a border city. It doesn't sit on the U.S. line like Juarez or Tijuana. Instead, it is something even more important, it is logistics. From Guadalajara, the CJNG commands smuggling corridors stretching to Pacific ports, highways leading north, and international routes reaching Europe and Asia. It is the headquarters, the brain of a global operation worth billions. Whoever controls Guadalajara doesn't just fight for streets. They fight for international dominance. The CJNG rose here under Nemesio Asaguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho. From Guadalajara, his cartel spread like wildfire, taking territory city by city, state by state. But their rule has never gone unchallenged. The Sinaloa cartel seeks to push back, sending assassins into the city. Smaller local groups fight for scraps. The result? Brutal ambushes, bodies left in cars, and executions staged in broad daylight. Guadalajara is not just CJNG's heart, it is the front line of Mexico's future. Residents speak of black bags appearing on sidewalks. Of entire neighborhoods silenced by fear. A shopkeeper might sell tacos by day, and pay extortion money by night, just to stay alive. University students march for their missing friends, whose last message was a text saying, "I'm on my way home." For many in Guadalajara, life is normal until it suddenly isn't. In 2018, Guadalajara woke up to horror, bodies stuffed inside a truck, left abandoned in broad daylight. Days later, mass graves were uncovered in nearby fields. The message was unmistakable: El Mencho's enemies would not just be killed, they would be erased. These killings are not random. They are precise, calculated, and meant to terrify anyone who dares stand in CJNG's way. Today, CJNG dominates Guadalajara, but the city remains unstable. Government raids attempt to push back. Rivals launch surprise strikes. Assassinations continue. For the moment, Guadalajara belongs to El Mencho. But in a country where cartel empires rise and fall overnight, nothing is guaranteed. Not even the throne of Mexico's most dangerous man. Tourists still come for the tequila, the music, the history. Children still play in the plazas. But behind the postcard image lies the machinery of war. For Guadalajara, beauty and bloodshed walk hand in hand, each step echoing under the shadow of the CJNG. Every truck filled with bodies tells a story. Every mass grave hides 1,000 broken families. For Guadalajara, the cost of being a cartel capital is not just measured in money or power. It is measured in silence, in fear, and in lives lost. And still, the city beats on, carrying the weight of the war inside its streets. But Guadalajara is only one piece of the puzzle. Further north, another city has become a war zone, not because of its culture, not because of its beauty, but because it sits on one of the most valuable highways in Mexico. A place where convoys of armed men clash like armies, leaving behind burned cars and smoking streets. If Guadalajara is the heart of the CJNG, this next city is the artery they cannot afford to lose. City number 4, Culiacan. Culiacan looks peaceful at first glance. Palm trees line the streets, families gather in plazas, children chase soccer balls across dusty fields. It's a city of agriculture, of ranch culture, of traditions deeply tied to the land. But look closer, and you'll see something else. Expensive mansions with high walls. Convoys of armored trucks with tinted windows. And whispers in the cantinas, whispers about who really runs this city. Because Culiacan is not just a city. It is the beating heart of the Sinaloa cartel. When night falls, the masks drop. Gunmen patrol in convoys, their weapons openly displayed. Entire neighborhoods shut down when a cartel boss passes through. And in the hills surrounding the city, hidden compounds bristle with guards and armored vehicles. Culiacan is not just another battleground. It is the cartel's home turf, and here, they fight with everything they have. Culiacan is the jewel of Sinaloa. From here, the cartel commands drug production across the state's mountains, fields of poppies and secret meth labs hidden in the jungle. From its highways, shipments move north toward the United States and south toward Pacific ports. Culiacan is not just symbolic. It is the command center, the fortress, and the empire. The Sinaloa cartel has called Culiacan home for decades. But its power is far from stable. Rival groups like the CJNG have tried to break in, sending assassins in convoys. Even within Sinaloa itself, power is divided. After El Chapo was arrested, his sons, the Chapitos, clashed with old guard lieutenants loyal to other factions. Betrayal became the rule, not the exception. And whenever the government tried to intervene, the cartel struck back with overwhelming force. Ask a shopkeeper in Culiacan who runs the city, and they won't say the mayor's name. Ask a taxi driver, and they'll lower their voice before answering. Everyone knows the truth. Cartel power here isn't hidden, it's woven into daily life. Residents live under an unwritten rule: stay quiet, don't ask questions, and hope you don't get caught in the middle. In October 2019, the world saw just how powerful the Sinaloa cartel truly is. Mexican soldiers captured Ovidio Guzman, one of El Chapo's sons. But within hours, the city erupted. Hundreds of cartel gunmen flooded the streets with machine guns and RPGs. They set cars ablaze, blocked highways, and unleashed chaos. Families cowered in homes as bullets ripped through downtown. By nightfall, the government surrendered. Ovidio was released to stop the bloodshed. It was a moment that shocked the entire world, proof that in Culiacan, the cartel holds the real power. Since El Culiacanazo, Culiacan has remained tense. Ovidio was captured again years later, but the cartel responded with the same fury, burning vehicles, ambushing soldiers, shutting down the city in broad daylight. For the people of Culiacan, life continues under the shadow of war. The city is both a home and a fortress, and its fate is tied directly to the future of the Sinaloa cartel itself. On one hand, Culiacan celebrates life, music, culture, baseball, fiestas. On the other hand, it celebrates death, narco corridos praising cartel bosses, shrines to fallen sicarios, entire neighborhoods built on drug money. Here, life and death aren't opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. The Culiacanazo showed the world the military power of a cartel. But behind every burning car, every firefight, were families hiding in terror. Parents covering their children's ears. Small businesses reduced to rubble. A city living in fear of its own protectors and its own captors alike. The human cost of cartel power in Culiacan cannot be measured, it can only be endured. But Culiacan is only one fortress. Travel east, and you'll find another city caught in a brutal tug-of-war. A city where cartels don't just clash with each other, they carve entire regions into bloody fiefdoms. If you thought Culiacan was shocking, wait until you see the next battlefield. City number 5, Monterrey. Monterrey is Mexico's engine of progress. Towering skyscrapers reflect the sun over busy highways. International companies line its financial districts. Students pack prestigious universities. It is the face of modern Mexico: wealth, technology, ambition. But as the sun sets, Monterrey's shining glass towers cast long shadows. And in those shadows, another world stirs. At night, Monterrey transforms. Convoys roll through the suburbs. Gunfire echoes in the distance. And in the hills outside the city, ranches double as safe houses and training grounds. Monterrey's polished surface hides the scars of a brutal war fought in silence, where billion-dollar corporations share streets with billion-dollar cartels. Monterrey is not just another city. It is the industrial heart of Mexico, a hub of highways leading north to Texas, east to Gulf ports, and south across the nation. Whoever controls Monterrey controls trade routes worth billions, not only drugs, but weapons, fuel, and human trafficking. The city is a prize unlike any other, a fortress of steel, glass, and money. In the late 2000s, Monterrey became a war zone. The Gulf Cartel and the Zetas fought openly in the streets. Entire neighborhoods were caught in crossfire. The Zetas left a trail of terror, kidnappings, massacres, public executions, turning Monterrey into one of the most dangerous cities in Mexico. Today, the fight has shifted. The Zetas fractured. The Gulf Cartel weakened. And new forces like the CJNG and Sinaloa cartel now circle, each wanting a piece of Monterrey's golden routes. Residents remember the days when Monterrey felt like a war zone. University students trapped inside classrooms as firefights raged outside. Families crouching under tables as grenades exploded on busy avenues. Taxi drivers disappearing, their cars later found abandoned on highways. Even today, locals speak of extortion rings, kidnappings, and a fear that never fully left. One massacre still haunts Monterrey, the Casino Royale attack of 2011. Gunmen stormed a popular casino in broad daylight, doused it in gasoline, and set it ablaze. 52 innocent people, many of them women, were trapped inside and burned alive. The attack shocked the nation, a reminder that the cartel's war cared nothing for innocence. In Monterrey, no one was safe, not even inside a place of leisure. Today, Monterrey tries to rebuild. Corporations continue their business. Universities welcome new students. The skyline grows taller each year. But beneath the progress, cartel influence still runs deep. Extortion networks bleed businesses. Hitmen move silently through the suburbs. The city's modern image cannot erase the scars carved into its past, or the quiet battles still being fought. By day, Monterrey sells the image of success: executives in suits, families shopping in glittering malls, students chasing dreams. By night, whispers spread in bars about cartel bosses dining at private clubs, about entire neighborhoods under the thumb of local cells. Monterrey is two cities living on the same streets, one of ambition, one of fear. For every corporate tower, there is a family grieving. For every new investment, there is a business paying extortion. Monterrey's war isn't as visible as Juarez or Culiacan, but it is just as real. It is a war fought in silence, where the victims are buried under statistics, and where fear walks hand in hand with progress. Monterrey is a battlefield hidden behind glass towers. But the next city is different. It is not a city of wealth or tourism, it is a port. A port so valuable that cartels will kill for it, smuggle through it, and corrupt it until the ocean itself becomes a highway of blood. If Monterrey is about power, the next city is about control of the seas. City number 6, Manzanillo. Manzanillo is a city of contrasts. Tourists come for the beaches, the seafood, the ocean sunsets. Fishermen mend nets under the sun while cruise ships glitter offshore. But behind the postcard-perfect views lies Mexico's most important Pacific port. Here, containers arrive from China, Japan, and across the globe. And inside some of those containers lies the chemical lifeblood of the drug trade. Every month, tons of chemicals used to produce synthetic drugs flow into this port, fentanyl precursors, meth ingredients, and supplies hidden among legitimate cargo. To control Manzanillo is to control the pipeline of synthetic drugs that now fuel America's overdose crisis. And the cartel that has seized it is the fastest growing in the world. Unlike border towns, Manzanillo is not about smuggling across highways. It is about global logistics. Whoever owns this port owns the future. Cartels can import chemicals, launder goods, and move weapons with the same ships that carry electronics and cars. It is the perfect disguise for organized crime, hidden in plain sight. The fight for Manzanillo has been bloody. For years, local groups aligned with the Sinaloa cartel held influence. But then, the CJNG arrived. They came with money, firepower, and the promise of controlling the global trade in synthetic drugs. Soon, Manzanillo was painted with fear, corrupt officials bought, police officers killed, businessmen kidnapped. The CJNG understood what was at stake. They turned Manzanillo into their ocean fortress. Dockworkers whisper of shipments that vanish before customs inspections. Truck drivers talk about convoys moving at night, escorted by armed men. Residents say the port belongs to the cartel, not the government. If you ask too many questions, one worker recalls, you disappear. In 2022, Colima's governor revealed a chilling fact: cartel hitmen were targeting port officials who resisted them. Customs chiefs, police commanders, even judges linked to Manzanillo were murdered. The message was simple: Manzanillo is ours. Those who tried to take it back paid with their lives. Today, the CJNG maintains a stranglehold on Manzanillo. The port moves millions of containers every year, but no one truly knows what is inside them all. For every shipment of cars, food, or electronics, another could carry the raw materials for fentanyl pills flooding the United States. Manzanillo may look peaceful to outsiders, but it is the beating heart of a hidden war. On the beaches, tourists sip cocktails and take photos of sunsets. Just a few miles away, armed men patrol warehouses stacked with chemicals. Manzanillo lives two lives, one of leisure, one of shadow. And every year, the shadows grow longer. For locals, the cost is silence. Businesses pay protection. Workers live under constant fear. Journalists who ask too many questions vanish. Families of poor officials mourn in silence. And the government, though present, walks a thin line between confrontation and complicity. In Manzanillo, survival means pretending not to see. Manzanillo is the cartel's ocean lifeline. But while the Pacific carries their drugs outward, another city controls the flow inward, the final gateway before the United States. It is a city of desert heat, steel fences, and international bridges. And its war makes every border crossing a gamble with death. That city is next. City number 7, Nuevo Laredo. Nuevo Laredo sits on the banks of the Rio Grande, staring directly into Texas. Trucks rumble across international bridges, carrying goods worth billions every year. Families shop in local markets, children splash in fountains, life continues. But beneath this border city's daily rhythm is a hidden reality: Nuevo Laredo is a city under siege. For decades, Nuevo Laredo has been the jewel of smuggling routes. Whoever controls it controls the flow of drugs, weapons, and people into the United States. But control has come at a staggering cost. This city has witnessed battles so intense that residents describe it as living in a war zone, streets closed, schools shuttered, bodies left on highways. Over 40% of all trade between Mexico and the United States passes through Nuevo Laredo. That means billions of dollars in goods, cars, electronics, food, and hidden among them, the cartel's most valuable cargo. Whoever dominates Nuevo Laredo doesn't just make millions. They decide who lives, who dies, and who crosses the border. In the 2000s, the Zetas turned Nuevo Laredo into their fortress. Brutality became their signature. Decapitations, kidnappings, and public executions left the city in terror. The Mexican army rolled tanks through the streets. The Gulf Cartel struck back, turning entire neighborhoods into combat zones. Today, while the Zetas fractured, their remnants still fight, now facing rivals like the Northeast Cartel, Gulf Cartel splinters, and CJNG, all circling Nuevo Laredo like vultures. Residents speak of nights when gunfire echoes for hours. Parents hiding their children under beds. Taxi drivers whispering about convoys racing across the city. Journalists silenced, many killed for reporting the truth. One survivor recalls, "The city belongs to whoever has the most guns that week. We just try to survive." Nuevo Laredo's highways are legendary for ambushes. Entire convoys vanish. Police patrols are slaughtered in seconds. In 2019, a military unit was ambushed by cartel gunmen armed with .50 caliber rifles and armored trucks. The firefight left bodies and burning vehicles scattered across the road, a reminder that in Nuevo Laredo, war is never far away. Today, Nuevo Laredo remains one of Mexico's most contested cities. Military checkpoints dot the roads, convoys patrol day and night, but the cartels are still here. Control shifts constantly, sometimes held by one group, then another. What never changes is the violence. For every bridge that carries commerce, another carries fear. To outsiders, Nuevo Laredo is a gateway of opportunity. To locals, it is a city trapped between worlds, one of trade, one of terror. Children grow up hearing gunfire instead of lullabies. Families debate whether to leave or endure. And through it all, the cartels keep fighting, because Nuevo Laredo is simply too valuable to lose. The human toll is staggering. Thousands disappeared. Entire families uprooted. Journalists silenced, businesses shuttered. Nuevo Laredo is not just a battleground, it is a scar, one that stretches across the border, touching both Mexico and the United States. And as long as the trade continues, so will the bloodshed. These are the 7 cities that define the cartel war: Juarez, Tijuana, Guadalajara, Culiacan, Monterrey, Manzanillo, and Nuevo Laredo. Each one a battlefield. Each one a story of blood and power. But together, they form something greater, a war without end, stretching from ocean to desert, from skyscrapers to border bridges. And as the cartels fight for Mexico's future, one truth remains: the war is far from over. 7 cities. 7 battlefields. At first glance, each fight seems local: one neighborhood, one cartel, one border crossing. But when you connect the dots, a pattern emerges. Juarez, Tijuana, Guadalajara, Culiacan, Monterrey, Manzanillo, Nuevo Laredo, they are not isolated. They are pieces of one enormous puzzle. This is not just a war for streets or corners. It is a war for corridors. Corridors that lead to the United States, to Europe, to Asia. Whoever controls these routes does not just control drugs. They control money, weapons, politics, and entire nations' futures. For decades, the Sinaloa cartel was king. But now, the CJNG has risen like a storm, sweeping across cities once thought untouchable. Old cartels fracture. New names emerge. What was once a 2-player war is now a deadly free-for-all. And Mexico is the chessboard. The government sends soldiers. Presidents promise crackdowns. And yet, the war continues. Because for every cartel boss captured, another rises. For every police unit deployed, another officer is bought. corruption seeps through every level: mayors, governors, generals, even presidents accused of ties to organized crime. In Mexico's cartel war, the line between state and syndicate blurs. Over 400,000 lives lost. Tens of thousands disappeared. Families broken. Journalists silenced. Communities living in fear. This is not just about cartels and soldiers, it is about millions of people caught in the crossfire of a war they never asked for. And beyond the border, the United States watches. Every overdose victim in America traces back to supply lines running through these 7 cities. Every fentanyl pill, every meth shipment, every heroin brick has its roots in Mexico's cartel war. This is not just Mexico's problem. It is America's crisis, too. This war does not pause. It does not sleep. When one cartel falls, another rises. When one city quiets, another erupts. It is a cycle that feeds itself, powered by greed, fear, and blood. And as long as there is demand, the war machine will keep turning. Mexico stands at a crossroads. Will it be defined by progress, by cities like Monterrey, towers of steel and glass? Or will it be consumed by shadows, by battles like Juarez, Tijuana, and Nuevo Laredo? The answer will decide not only Mexico's future, but the fate of millions beyond its borders. These 7 cities are only the beginning. There are more battlefields, ports, deserts, villages, each one soaked in blood. And the cartels are not slowing down. They are expanding. Innovating. Becoming more powerful than ever before. The war is not winding down. It is accelerating. This isn't just about territory. It's about the future. Who will control the drug trade? Who will control Mexico? And how many lives will be lost before it ends? One thing is certain, the war is not over. It is only just beginning. 7 cities. 7 battlefields. Each one tells a story of blood and power. But hidden among them lies the city that matters more than all the rest. The city of all cities. The one that cartel experts call the true prize. And if this city falls, the entire balance of power in Mexico could collapse overnight. Cartel bosses whisper its name. Politicians fear it. Journalists die for writing about it. This city is not just another battlefield, it is the heart of Mexico's war. And everything, every route, every dollar, every drop of blood, flows through it. It sits at the center of highways that stretch north to the United States, east to the Gulf, west to the Pacific, and south into Mexico's heart. Whoever controls this city controls the crossroads of a nation. Drugs, money, weapons, all of it passes through here. It is the key to Mexico itself. This is not Juarez with its open battles, not Tijuana with its chaos, not even Culiacan with its narco parades. This city is quieter. More subtle. But make no mistake, it is a battlefield. Here, cartels fight not with spectacle, but with precision. Assassinations in daylight. Entire police forces replaced overnight. A war fought in shadows. For decades, this city has been tugged back and forth. The Gulf Cartel. The Zetas. The Sinaloa Cartel. And now, the CJNG. Each one sees it as the crown jewel. And each one is willing to kill endlessly to take it. Blood has stained its avenues, its suburbs, its highways leading out into the desert. Locals know what it means to live here. To drive at night is to gamble with your life. To ask questions is to invite death. Families disappear without explanation. Businesses pay silently to survive. This city is not just strategic, it is suffocating. Its people live in constant fear, caught in a war they cannot escape. Security experts, journalists, and former cartel insiders agree, if this city becomes fully dominated by a single group, it could tip the balance of the entire war. Because from here, cartels don't just control one route. They control all of them. And so, after Juarez, after Tijuana, after Guadalajara, Culiacan, Monterrey, Manzanillo, and Nuevo Laredo, we arrive at the city of all cities. The crossroads. the crown jewel. The battlefield that could decide the future of Mexico. The name of this city is whispered in every cartel meeting, feared in every government briefing, and mourned in every funeral of those who live there. This is the city where Mexico's fate is decided. This is Nuevo Laredo, the city of all cities. The blood-soaked gateway to the United States. The city whose bridges carry billions, and whose streets run red with blood. Experts warn, as long as the cartels fight for Nuevo Laredo, the war will not end. Because whoever wins here, wins everything. 7 cities. 7 front lines. Each one bleeding, each one burning, each one trapped in a war without end. Juarez, the city where 11,000 bodies turn the desert into a graveyard, and where the Sinaloa and Juarez cartels fight street by street. Tijuana, the border gate where narco tunnels snake beneath the streets, and every bridge is worth a fortune. Guadalajara, home of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, where the fight is not just about drugs, but empire. Culiacan, the city of narco parades, where the Sinaloa cartel holds the streets with armored convoys and burning barricades. Monterrey, the jewel of the north, where cartels fight not only for power, but for the billions flowing through its banks. Manzanillo, the silent port, where containers hide cocaine by the ton, and every shipment could ignite another war. And finally, Nuevo Laredo, the city of all cities. The bridge to America. The gateway drenched in blood. From Juarez to Guadalajara, from Tijuana to Culiacan, the war continues. It spreads, it mutates, it consumes everything in its path. And the question is not whether there will be peace, but which cartel will be left standing when the smoke clears. This is Mexico's cartel war. And it is far from over. Narration 1, Acknowledgement. If you've watched all the way to the end, you're not here for headlines, or rumors, or quick stories. You're here because you want to understand what's really happening. The truth, in all its brutality. These 7 cities are only the beginning. The war doesn't stop here. And more stories are coming, stories that will take you deeper into the heart of this conflict than ever before. So if you want to see more, stay with us. Subscribe, like, share, and join the conversation. Because the next story may be darker, and more important, than anything you've witnessed so far.